Hello, everyone. We are back for another week of Growing with My Fellow Growers. This is episode 341. I'm your host, Jack Greenstock, joined as always by an amazing panelist. Currently, we've got a few of our guys running a little bit late, but we will be joined by a few of them soon. But before that, I'm going to pass it over first to Spartan Grown.
Thank you, Jack. I am Spartan Grown. You can find me on Instagram at Spartan Grown, all one word with no spaces, or you can shoot me email, spartangrown@gmail.com or russ@gmlarmy.com, and I can help you with all your lighting and growing questions, hopefully. Shout out to everybody that came and said hi to me at the MJ BizCon when we were at the Grandmaster level booth. Grandmaster level or LEDs booth, I mean. And it was cool to connect with a bunch of people there. So shout out to everybody that I saw there. I'm not going to try to name names because I'm ultimately forever going to forget somebody and then look like the bad guy.
And I actually feel bad about it because
I
you
feel real bad
genuinely,
about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know exactly how that is. And I would do the exact same thing of forgetting somebody if I did try to shout out all the people that I met. Thankfully, at the one event I went to, Champs, it was just like Johnny and Ty. It's like two people. I guess it was pretty easy when you got two people that came and, shook your hand and gave you some, in my case, a couple of good, really nice homegrown samples to smoke on while I was there and give them a little bit of a review on. But always cool to see the people from the community at any event. I had mentioned to the Spartan before, I think Beard Bros Farm kind of admittedly hit, I think, a nail on the head that even myself was a bit critical in the past. I would kind of make fun of MJ BizCon and point out the fact that it was more of like a booze and cocaine convention a lot of the time. And a lot of the MJ was not actually involved at all. Like you couldn't smoke on the showroom floor, you couldn't have product out. And they kind of hit on the fact that it's MJ Biz, like business, like growing businesses and expanding retail licenses and, this and that. And the focus is on that kind of stuff, not necessarily MJ like Culture Con or like a music festival or something like that, where it's like a reggae concert where people are just like, he's like, it'd be like going to a hardware store and expecting them to have like a rave on aisle seven or something like that. I just thought it was well written. Beard Bros usually does a pretty good job. I've been a fan of their page for a while, and they do pretty good updates on news and stuff like that. But speaking of updates and things like that, we're going to be taking questions tonight. As Spartan mentioned, he always helps out with grow questions, lighting questions, and everything in between. And so we're always happy to take your questions here live on the live chat on YouTube. We're streaming 4 o'clock to 6 p.m. On the West Coast here. So it'll be about 6 to 8 p.m. on the East Coast if you're in the US. And yeah, so anybody who doesn't hear it or see it live, you won't have the opportunity to get your questions in, unfortunately. But we do have quite a handful of people in the chat, a lot of people that have been here in the past because I'm seeing all the crowns. We got number one, Gundus 89, probably messing that up. Uh, but then we got Haas Farms is also showing number one on my thing. So I guess YouTube doesn't know how to actually fix the crown system because we got two number ones. Maybe one of
It's
them is a
just being really
mod.
progressive. Everybody's number one.
You're all number one. Participation rewards. We got a couple number twos. Or Marcus Green Thumb, familiar face and name. Hope you're doing well out there, Marcus, and everybody else. Cheers to you all. I don't know if I've seen any questions roll in just yet, but maybe Spartan could tell us a little bit about his experience going to Las Vegas for MJ BizCon, even though I was talking just a little bit about it generally and how in the past it has unfolded. I'm kind of curious to hear your firsthand perspective. I know you mentioned before the show that working it is a little bit different because you can't really leave the booth, at least not frequently enough, like bathroom break and food here and there. But you're there for like 8 hour plus day, maybe 12-hour days. And it's
Yeah.
like you leave the booth for maybe an hour to two tops. And so you're pretty much locked in that little corner. And I've also worked events at the exact same convention center. So Spartan and I were reflecting on some of the difficulties of that. But maybe on the less inside baseball or business side of things, how did the event generally go? And yeah, what were some of the highlights or lowlights?
I would say overall, just my overall, like this is my second year going and huge shout out to Grandmaster level and Grandmaster LEDs because they pay my way out there. And so I was at the booth and it's like last year I felt like there were more exhibitors there. There not I felt like there were more exhibitors there. It was a bigger convention. But we saw worse tra like foot traffic where we were at specifically. This year, it seemed there were far less exhibitors. In fact, people were saying the word of mouth was there was about 300 less exhibitors this year, and that there's also a rumor that seems to be true because I've heard it again and again and again that so they had it. It was so big that they had a really, really large room, like several football fields long, that was for like all the packaging. You'd have the seed vendors, you'd have all of the dispensary style stuff, just all of that kind of commercial retail side of things. And then in the room that we were in, we're in the cultivation room. So then you're going to get grow equipment mainly, and that could be commercial all the way down to the home grower. And ours is usually a smaller room. This year they said it was easily half as many vendors as there were last year in that cultivation side. That's where I saw the biggest difference. Yeah, the other side seemed to be still fairly full, but they're saying that everything's going to fit in the one side next year. They're already expecting it all just fit on one side. So that's going to be interesting to see if that changes the dynamic at all. But because a lot of people weren't even aware there were separate rooms sometimes because that place is so huge. Um, now on the flip
There's
side,
multiple levels even, dude. Like when I
yeah,
did the Champs
exactly.
Business Con, like there was a second floor. There was like a
Yep.
live glass blowing event going on that like there was a skate park on the second floor, like a half pipe, full half pipe with like a skate event going on. There was a glass blowing event going on. There was a blunt rolling event. We actually met the girl who won Snoop Dogg's blunt rolling event. So shout out to her. My wife and her became friends. They were in the booth next to us. But yeah, man, that convention center is mind-blowingly large. Like until you've actually been to
Yeah.
that or any big city convention center, like I've done a volleyball tournament at the Orlando Convention Center that had like 170 volleyball courts, and like until you see that,
God.
like it's hard for you to. It looks like my dad put it well. He said it's like, have you ever seen the movie 300 where they had like the first few rows of Spartans and then they
Yeah.
use CGI to kind of like edit a bunch more of them behind it? It sort of felt like that. It was like a few volleyball courts you're used to seeing, but then like 50 rows in a row of like 10 deep or whatever it was, however much the math works out to. It was just insane to see it. And
Yeah.
when it's cannabis or whatever it is at those conferences, it's
And in
mind-numbingly
Vegas
large.
too, specifically Vegas, it's such a like optical illusion as far as how close you think things are, and they're not close. But because the buildings are so fucking big, you're like, I can see that. It's close. I'm gonna walk right to it. And it's like a damn rainbow. It just walks away from you as you walk towards it.
That
You know,
freaking what's it called? The new event center that has the presentation where it projects onto the outside and it's like a 3D like globe type thing and you could see it
Sphere.
from the Sphere Las
Yeah.
Vegas. And you could it seems like it's right around the corner everywhere you're at because it's so big, like the massive size of it and its interactive nature. Like when you're driving, well, not interactive, but it's like kind of constantly changing. It could be like an eyeball or a smiley face or a thunderstorm or something. It's just like
It
always
totally
catching your
draws
eye.
your eye though, always. That's what I love. I was my first. I'm such an old man. My first comment is like, "Oh, we can't have a fucking cannabis fucking ad or something because that might be distracting or something like that. But in here we can have fucking the biggest. I mean, it looks like you could be driving dead of night and it feels like, an ad will come up on the side of a building that is so bright. It's like it's bright daylight in the middle of the night. Like that's not distracting. We can do that. That's okay. What the hell? Yeah, I can't. I am mad props to all the drivers in Vegas. I could not. I would have road rage so fast. I was
I was
so
driving
glad
around
to
a
have people
big
driving.
truck when I was there, fucking like a Tahoe or like a XL Suburban.
Yeah,
So just imagine, bro.
not fun.
No, but
No.
I guess take your time and use your mirrors and your sensors and all that good stuff. But even then, sometimes it's somebody else's fault. And mix in now that there's all these freaking e-bike that are like essentially like the Indian equivalent of those little rickshaws. Well, they have
Yeah.
rickshaws driving around, but it's a guy with an e-bike now, and then he's like, "Oh, you got to tip me because I pedaled." It's like, dude, you were barely pedaling. Like I could hear the freaking e motor revving. And there's also like a bunch of scams with that stuff where they're like, "Oh yeah, it's $15," and it's like you read like the fine print, it's like $15 per person or whatever, and so it's like you got to make sure you know exactly the cost before you get on one of those things. Just as a heads up to anybody, whether it's here or anywhere. I've seen it in
Anywhere.
Italy or Asia and everywhere in between. Just gotta make sure you know the terms, and probably better off just if you aren't on time crunch and you're physically capable of it, just walking. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes, unfortunately though, like when you
It's a
or
long
I
walk though
work
sometimes.
those events and you've already walked a bunch of steps to get into the center, you've moved a bunch
Oh
of
my
stuff around,
God.
getting set up, and then you're standing on your feet for 10 or 12 hours talking to people constantly,
Yeah.
like every single person. You might have hundreds of people come up to your booth, so it's pretty physically draining. And then to like the parking situations aren't always great, so you might be parking across the street at a hotel, valeting or
You might be
something like
walk
that.
yeah, you're walking miles just to get to your car. So yeah,
Yeah, it's
fun
a
stuff.
There's a
Yeah,
lot
but
of
it was a good
fun.
time. It was a good
Meeting the
time, but
people,
yeah,
like the actual experience is fun, but the physicality of it, that like everything that is involved with going through the process of having an event like that is draining for sure.
yeah, absolutely. But I felt like this year was a better, like there were less people walking through, but we had a way more like quality of people. Like everyone that we talked to was serious about it and kind of knew already a lot of the stuff and we weren't having to explain every little thing. And there's a little bit more knowledge and a little bit more seriousness. Like to the extreme example, there was one person that we were talking to that you know, they're explaining to me that they were from Florida and they're interested in the lights and had some questions. And I said, okay, well, what kind of canopy space are you looking to light up? And, you know, I've heard some big numbers before, but when he wasn't even talking square footage and started talking in acres, and I'm not talking about one or two or three, but he's like, I've got like, you know, 500 acres of canopy where we're going to have X amount for fruit trees, X amount for cut flowers, and then this. I'm just like, okay, this is a whole nother conversation. So, yeah, that was kind of cool to experience, I guess. Um, And then you'd have people from what I really loved was people like from all different countries too, right? And all interested in the lighting. I had one guy come up to me from some place in Europe that worked for a research company, and he was really interested in our predator lights, the UVC lights. And this was a fucking mind-blowing one for me. He said, have you guys done any testing on the terpenes or cannabinoids or anything like that changing in the plant when exposed to UVC or without exposed to UVC? I said, you mean on a living plant? And no, we haven't done, of course, haven't done any of that. We'd have to like wait till harvest. He goes, oh, and I'm like, what do you mean? Oh, like he had something more to say. And eventually, long story short, they have been doing tests with just taking compounds with UVC, and he was putting what he called it. He wouldn't give me the obvious details, like what nanometer
How much, how
UVC he's
long,
using,
what
how
type?
long, any of that. But he said they took myrcene, so like your most common, I think it's the most common terpene that we have. So they put straight myrcene in his UVC reactor, a tube with UVC in it, and exposed it to UVC, and they produced hashishene. And I'm like, wow, I've never heard that. The only way I've ever heard to get hashishene was actually making temple balls, basically.
Breeder
Um,
Steve found it in the vegetal leaf tissue when he cooked it on his stovetop, just in vegetable oil or like whatever oil, peanut oil,
Whoa.
coconut oil.
You
So
found
it's weird.
hashishene in it? Okay.
Yeah. So we're coming up with, we're figuring out stuff all the time. And I
Yeah.
think hashishene is really, we're going to find oxidization of terpenes. It's a combination of probably myrcene and other things that comes about through the process, like when you press a temple ball with that hot boiling water bottle or whatever it is, or
What I
um,
think it is it's degradation because UVC degrades things, right?
exactly.
So I think it's yeah, like in a hash, it makes sense. In a temple ball, it's sitting there and over time it's changing or whatever. I'm gonna say degrading, but maybe you know it's still better and the end thing might be better. But I'm saying the compounds are degrading and changing to something else. And so I think maybe the UVC is just
I
accelerating
like
that.
the term like evolving or changing,
Yeah,
or altering the chemical profile, because myrcene might be worth less per pound or liter if you extract it than hashishene. Like if you looked up hashishene prices per pound versus myrcene prices per pound, I would bet you hashishene
right.
is more valuable. And so then it turns like from a alchemy kind of perspective, it's like, oh, we're turning silver into gold now. We're taking this low value, uh, even THC, because THC per pound was lower than CBN. And I was arguing on Twitter, like, is it really degrading if we're going from like something that's $1,000 a pound to something that's $3,000 per pound? Like we just tripled our value, even if we lost 4%, 5%, 6%, whatever it is. So you started with 1,000 grams of THC and then converted it to 990 grams of CBN. Even if you lose that 10 or 30 or 50 or whatever it is, if it's worth thousands more per pound, then you just gain, several $1,000s. And so it is interesting from like a biochemical process standpoint to think of, is it degrading or transferring or evolving? Because like CBGA turns to CBG and then it turns to THCA and then to THC, or CBDA to CBD. But we don't think of that as a degradation. We think that as like an evolution or a step change in the process that is part of the evolution that is expected. And so I think with hashishene or maybe even some of the other like CBN, and things like that. We'll start to consider them just part of the evolutionary process and like a different part of the chain. And I wonder if it could even be taken, like if you could take CBN and turn it back to like CBG or something like that. I'm sure some biochemical
Oh,
science,
to go backwards in the chain, that would be interesting. Yeah.
like a chemistry wizard, if you could turn like, THC into uh, CBG or CBGA or something like that. I'm sure somebody out there has been there, done that, but it's probably energy intensive. And we have a couple questions that I wanted to get to. I don't want to keep it hanging. And 8 p.m. is the former name, so I'm not going to read whatever the name was that I butchered earlier. But YouTube changed it. Like they made me Jack Greenstock 777 randomly. So like I just got an angel number, a good luck number tacked on the end of mine because I see other people that's like, uh, you know, Chadwick Bradbury 8390. It's just like a random set of numbers or whatever. And they're the next person to ask the question. So hang around, Chadwick, because we're going to get to you very soon. But right now, we're going to answer APM's question, who says, can you guys talk about the offsetting of the VPD chart? We talked about it a few years back, but I kind of forget. And I think they're mentioning kind of how there's like maybe multiple VPD charts. Some people reference one for veg and one for flower, and or just the different ranges that people are going for, depending on the stage of the cycle that they're in, comparing veg versus flower. But I'm curious, Spartan, what are your thoughts on the maybe multiple modes of VPD charts, or have you heard or seen anything of this sort?
But the specific, he's just asking about like the offset. To my understanding, the VPD offset, isn't that just talking about like the difference between the room temperature and the leaf surface temperature? And then you make that offset the difference. Like for example, that reminds me of the pulse meter offset, and that's what you do is like you measure the temperature of the room. Say the room's 80 degrees, but the leaf surface temperature is 82 degrees. Then your leaf surface offset is 2 degrees. If I
That
understand
that might
correctly,
be what they're
that's
talking about. So APM, you could clear that up because that's not something that I'm super familiar with. I always just go off the leaf surface temperature. I kind of treat the ambient room temperature as if it's like irrelevant to some extent because the plant feels what is on its leaf surface. So I try to go with that for my VPD references. But a lot of my probes and meters and stuff are going off of a ambient general um, estimate of what the room temperature and RH is. So it's imperfect, but it gets the job done, keeps you in close enough range. And I don't know, I think it's a lot of people, and VPD matters because it's just a mathematical equation of temperature and relative humidity. But if you just know like good ranges to keep your plants in, like I think 78 to 82 for an LED is a solid environment. And then within that, depending on your stage, like late flower, I'm comfortable as high as like 64, 65% RH, but I'll go as low as like 45 and aim for like 50 to 60. And some people like it lower than that. I think that it's perfectly fine in the 50s and 60s. But the VPD charts, if you look at what that is, it's like in that like 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 3, 1, 4. And I usually just mainly go off of how the plants are responding, and if they seem unhappy, like if it's too dry, if your VPD is off, like you have too little humidity, you'll start to see like the leaves will start to get a little bit crispy and crumpled up, and they're giving off more moisture than they should be. And there's other signs of that happening. You might be needing to water more frequently. You might have other issues going on. You might just see the ambient RH is low. It's like, oh, why is it 35%? It's like, oh, well, the Santa Ana winds just blew through San Diego and it's 5% outside RH versus normally it's 35. And so you need to make some adjustments, maybe kick on a humidifier or something of that sort. So there's a lot of minor things that you can adjust to dial in the VPD, but I think a lot of it gets kind of, it can turn into paralysis by analysis, and we can look at numbers all day long. And as long as the plants are happy and they're healthy, if you've got it within that, I would say even like 75 to 83 range, 84. That's getting on the higher end and on the lower ends that I'm comfortable with. But like I was saying earlier, like 78 to 82, I think is pretty ideal under an LED. And then RH ranges, veg, you can go much higher. Fine with as high as like 80, maybe even 85. But between 50 and 70 in veg and like 50 and 60 in flower, I think you're going to be pretty fine. And it's easy to overthink, but ideally, you know, mid 50s. Some people like it lower. They think a lot of people had told me for a long time, oh, I'm running my flower in the 40s or even 30s and stuff like that to avoid molds and mildews. And I think to some extent that can help, but I would rather top my plant a couple more times so I don't get these colas that are so fat that they're almost guaranteed to rot, no matter how good you dial in your environment. And I've also met people like Can Grow who got his environment down to like 20% RH to try and get rid of white powdery mildew, and he was still having it. And he was using UVC lights and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I think there's more factors that play into it than just the, temperature, humidity, and uh, whether or not you use a UV light, because you know he was more of a sterile system or attempting to, and I think that's an example of like nature abhorring a vacuum. It wants to either fill it up with good stuff or bad stuff. So if you nuke everything, then there's no good stuff or bad stuff available. And if there's any trace amount of white powdery mildew floating in the environment, which there is pretty much everywhere, there's thousands of strains of it, but the ones that impact your cannabis are probably still around you and in your environment, just waiting for that optimal time for either the plant tissue to be weak enough, the environmental conditions to be proper enough that all they need to do is, germinate a little spore inside of that cell tissue of the leaf, and you might not even see it. It can just linger there all veg long, and then you pop into flower and you think you're good, and all of a sudden that white powdery mildew starts creeping out. And so um, it's worth, I think, looking into biological methodologies instead of nuking the biology, trying to attack it with good stuff. Like, there's a lot of different things, but trichoderma, Bacillus subtilis, and things like that that will allow your plant to fight off a lot of these bad pathogens that will come about even if you do a pretty good job of keeping your environment clean and environment stable.
That's really it. You got to find the environment that works for you. But the VPD is a good like guideline. That's for damn sure. And it's nice that because it kind of shows the grower that hey, everything's kind of connected. You can't just focus on one thing. You want to get the whole thing when it comes to the environment to really let the plants reach their genetic potentials. Second question from Chadwick Bradbury says, I understand the veg cycle and the flower cycle, but what exactly does it mean to send veg signals in flowering and making new pistils form in late flower? That's new to me. It sounds like they're talking about a re-veg situation. I'm not sure what that means. But it sounds like changing the light cycle back to a veg light cycle and then, but I don't know that that's going to make new pistils. I haven't heard that before.
I've seen it where if maybe they didn't go with a traditional 12-12, like if they dropped it from like maybe they're outdoor. So they put it out like mid-season or something, and it got into a stage of the plant was able to start flowering, but then it became like springtime or whatever, and that light cycle became longer. I might just be guessing if they're outdoor or whatever, but even indoor, if they just were experimenting or playing with or not using the traditional like 18-6 to 12 and 12. um, I think some plants, for a variety of reasons, like a longer flowering sativa, sometimes towards the end, if I start to see something like this happen, I will recommend to people instead of running that 12-12, if that's what they are running and it's not working, and they're seeing late pistils and what looks almost like a re-veg or like a plant that's not wanting to finish or continuing to just keep throwing white pistils, even though it's like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 weeks in, is drop it from 12-12 to like 11 on, 13 off for a few days, and then drop it from 11-13 to 10 hours on, 14 off. And I've never had anybody go for 10 hours, 14 off for more than a week without their plant completely oranging up, completely finishing up after that happening. And I think it's because some of these plants want to finish with a lot longer dark cycle than even just the 12 and 12. However, I don't have scientific data to prove that. I have just seen it anecdotally when I told people, hey, try this. And 10 out of 10 times, this rare, weird, what I think is either a hormonal imbalance or something being thrown off by not actually mimicking a light cycle that would be shown in nature, because it never goes 18-6 and stays 12 and 12 for 9 weeks forever and never changes. So maybe something about going back a little bit to the natural side of things will help it finish up.
I think it probably has a little bit to do with a plant's DLI because I've seen it across different cultivars. Different plants can take more light. Some of them don't like as much light, and I think what's happening is they're reaching that DLI threshold for that plant much easier, especially under LED lighting. Uh, and so, decreasing PPFD can help, like you said. And one of the things too is for those long flowering varieties that don't seem to finish. It's like try giving those things 8 hours of light, and that's it. or 10 hours of light. Just decrease the amount of light that you're giving them, increase that amount of dark time, and they usually, like you said, they'll usually finish flowering. And if you start with that, with a lot of these, let's say you have something that you know is a 14, 15 weeker, if you start your flowering cycle with 8 or 10 hours of light all the way through, I feel like you'll have much better response.
Like finish time for sure. Yield will probably go down a little bit if you don't adjust to account like accommodate for the DLI difference of a 8 hour day versus a 12-hour day. However, I do agree that I think you'll get a faster finish for sure, and something that will just actually finish versus like there's some stuff that people put like 22, like 16 to 22 weeks on like Neville's Haze and stuff like that. So it's like I don't know if anybody's actually gonna push it much past the 16-week type thing. So even asking them to go much past 8 or 9 weeks is usually a big stretch for a lot of people. Like I tell people to take stuff 10 weeks and they're like, no, I took it at 9. So I don't expect a lot of people out there to be going, 11, 12, 13. I know Spartan recently went with his, I think Project V, you ended up looking back in hindsight and didn't even realize that you took it like into the high 70s or 80s in the days. It was a little bit longer than GMO.
It was my bliss
I,
bud. Yeah, it took it forever.
dude, I just pulled 6 of the 18 plants out of my bed, and I was at day 51, and they were ready, dude. I was like, man, should I take them a little bit longer? And I was like, nah, dude, these things are done.
I just harvested today right before the show, two max. They're only like day 56. I'm like, God damn,
Yep.
finishing fast as fuck.
Yeah, I'm on day 52 today, so I've got probably another week on the rest of the stuff.
Nice.
But that's what happens when you got a bunch of mixed stuff up in there, because I got a bunch of
Yeah.
phenos of blueberry train mac. I got some gas in there. That gas is so good, dude. Like I don't know if people have had this like had the opportunity to run real Mac 1 and then also run that gas, that Starfighter across the Mac.
I just got
But
that from you, so
that Starfighter across the Mac is so 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 good.
that's right, my alley. I love Mac. I love Mac. Hey, I want to shout out a few people I do remember because it was fucking awesome. Remember Brandon when we first met in Barcelona? Fucking I met Dr. MJ Coco down there. So first time, we've been talking forever online, and first time I met him, it was in Vegas. So so that was cool. So we had that little. He was just walking around in the floor, and I seen him from a ways away. I'm like, I'm gonna go track his ass down.
You were
So
at MJ BizCon.
yeah, I went down there to
I
Vegas.
was invited to speak at the convention, but I was like, I don't know. I don't really like, I don't want to just go out there to talk for half an hour or whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah, make a whole trip just for that would be a little bit much. If they wanted to fucking pay for your trip, that'd have been something.
Yeah, that's what that would have been cool, but wasn't the case. I'm not that important.
I don't know. Maybe we can pull some strings and we'll tell them you're that important.
I think MJ BizCon ain't that important.
Yeah,
But
that might be more of the truth there.
I think a lot of the fun is in the after parties. I don't know if you partook in any of that, but a lot of the people that are at
No.
the events, they'll like be handing out flyers like, "Oh, hey, come to our after party for X, Y, and Z," and they'll have like DJs or music and
We were honestly we were crushing it. I mean it sounds conceited, but I mean shout out to the whole team GML because after the fucking the the booths and all that closed down, we were out at dinners with people talking about buying thousands of lights and crazy stuff like that. So we were doing business even after hours, and then I'd get
Yep.
back to my hotel room and just fucking crash, just fall
Yeah.
asleep in my clothes. Like, what the fuck? But no, that's what you want, right? That's kind of the goal. And so we had as just as a business ourselves personally, I feel we did really well there, but and so there's still like, but it's more like that's the corporate interests. It's not, there was home growers going through there for sure. But you can tell that it's swinging way more towards like the money, the corporate money interest. And then of course that's what those kinds of those biz cons are about, is about business. So they kind of
it's B2B. It ain't B2C.
yeah. And you know me, man. I mean, I there was some drama about there's a smoking section out front And I think there's even a sponsored, I don't remember who the sponsor was, but there's this like a sponsored smoking section, right? That's got, marketing material and all this shit. Last year's they were playing it was at a beer pong, they were playing bong pong and fucking smoking bowls. This year I guess people were smoking out there and management, everybody came down, like suits came down and threatened the people that were smoking cannabis that they needed to put it all out there on city property, which this is all true, but that they're on city property and they needed to put it out and stuff, and they're not allowed to smoke there, and if they didn't comply, they'd have to shut the whole convention down, was the threat. And at the same time this was happening, unbeknownst to me, to be fair, I'm sitting there dabbing behind the booth. I'm not even going outside. What the fuck?
They made the same threats at the Champs conference because it was a no smoking indoors event, but it was a counterculture, like subculture event, and there was like glass blowing and shit going on, and there was like a bunch of people just in there taking dabs and smoking joints and fucking having a good old time. So like the last day of the event, they were like walking around with signs like no smoking, and like they would like try and get people to stop, but it was very unsuccessful, I would say, to say the least. But yeah, that man, Vegas for like such a marketed as kind of like a crazy city that's all
Yeah.
wild and free. You get there and it's like, you can't do this, you can't do that, you have to pay for this, you have to like, it's like, oh
Oh,
my
dude, in
goodness.
Vegas, I'm surprised they don't pay you to breathe. Everything there is so expensive.
You
It's
pay to
insane.
park, you pay to walk in. They pay you, they make you use their labor team, even for like benign stuff. Like I was telling Spartan, like I was trying to carry in like a small box and they were like harassing us. And I just at one point was like, all right, fuck it, I gotta get this booth set up, and like I'm not trying to get my wife's boss pissed off at us. So I just started like carrying the shit in, and they're like, hey, you can't do that. Hey, you can't do that. They like followed me over to the booth and like wrote my booth down. I'm like, all right, well, what are you gonna do? Like I just fucking carried it in. So they like I think they charged us for what it would have cost to have the person come in, and they like threatened to kick us out and shut us completely out of the event entirely. So it's like such a pain in the ass, man. And they're very, very, strict and funny. The people themselves were actually cool. The policies fucking sucked.
Yeah. Well, it's getting to the point to where it's affecting it. Obviously, you're seeing the participation of exhibitors going down. They lost 300 from last year. That's a lot. So it's not easy to absorb those costs. So eventually it's going to get to the point to where they're not making money more anymore and they won't have a convention. So they need to decide what they want to do with it, I think.
I think make it more appealing, hopefully, at
Yeah.
least to, small, large, and everything in between. But I'm definitely more interested in the other events. I'm glad that you got to meet Dr. MJ. I've met him a couple times. Cool dude.
Yeah. Another
Smoked
one
with him.
was Chad Westport. Everybody knows him in the community. It was fucking awesome to finally meet him in person. He was cool as fuck. Um, See, now I'm naming names and met. Oh, fucking Adam from 2020 Mendocino and Carlos, who I already knew. But Carlos bumped into me. I was walking to get a hot dog or something, and I was like, "Dude, you got a booth?" He's like, "We got a booth." I'm like, "You gotta fucking tell me where it is. I gotta get over there." So, yeah, it was fucking cool as fuck to be able to shake Adam's hand and talk to him and Carlos. Shout out to those guys at 2020 Mendocino.
Good
Yeah,
stuff, man.
I'm just gonna sit here and keep remembering names as I'm remembering. But yeah, everybody there, man. Much love. Lots of Lobo Gross. He's one that watches the show. Um, yeah, I don't know. I can't I can't think of everybody.
It's all good. We got a follow up from Chadwick from earlier on the question regarding to the late pistols. They said, no, I'm full on 12-12, but the only thing my reach can lead me to
Oh,
find
research.
my research can lead me to find is the soil may still have too much nitrogen in late stage. Is that possible too? Which I don't even feed after week 4 or 6. Well, it is, I will say it is possible because depending on how you mix the soil, it could be too hot from the get-go. Like if even week 1, if you don't give it anything else, if you mix it too hot, it can be too hot the whole time. And so there is that
Too much light or too
potential.
much
And I've
nitrogen
definitely
is
had
usually culprit.
nitrogen is usually the one that's I've seen make stuff go flower longer, like put out pistils late and
I
usually be
agree.
pretty dark green, and not wanting to fade. I do want to take a second to welcome in Noah the Grower, who just joined us.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Uh, Sorry I'm late. A little family get together with my aunt, but I'm no other grow on Instagram. You can find me there and happy to be here.
We're happy you made it. Happy to have the crew back together for the most part. We got good grip of us tonight and answering some questions. The most late one was kind of talking about this person had a flower that wasn't finishing. They mentioned that maybe it was a light cycle thing if they weren't on a traditional 12-12. They said that they are on 12-12, Brandon and I both mentioned you could drop it down to like a 10-14 or even like a 8 on. You know, I think that'd be 18 or 16 off, whatever it is, and figure out how to make the plant end up finishing if it's being a little bit stubborn and putting out pistils late in flower, despite not having anything that would point to that happening. But I think they're kind of right to think maybe it's a little bit too much nitrogen, a little bit too late potentially.
What are we talking though? Are we talking like somebody this is their first grow with this strain? Like, it's you need a little bit more information, I would think. Yeah, maybe it could definitely be nitrogen. I would definitely not be wanting to give it nitrogen. Definitely the last 4 to 5 weeks, if not even more in flower. Also, like, what is the recommended like guideline for that strain? Obviously, that's not the golden rule, but you can go off of that. If it's a 10 weeker or 11 weeker, which is rare, but if it's a 9 weeker versus 8 weeker, and there's it's funny, people ask me questions like that sometimes, and I'm like, there's a lot of factors that go into it. Is that the only strain you're growing? What's the strains around it doing? There's a lot that can go into that.
A lot of good follow-up questions there. And if Chadwick wants to answer any of those, that could be helpful as well, because I do think it informs us to be a little bit more educated about what the specific situation is of this specific grower. Because there is a lot of reasons. Like Brandon was just talking about having his stuff being finished at day 50. And I think Spartan mentioned that he had some stuff going on in the 50s as well that could be, done. And I think part of that is, I don't know if Spartan used it on this most recent run that happened, but I think that humate fertilizers and the organic kind of ensure that everything is there, immediately available, quickly available, and bioavailable for the plant. So you've already got your good base soil, and then you're kind of ramping it up with the K and what's the other humate that you guys have?
It's a mix of the two.
The complex.
It's a full spectrum though. It's just it's a little heavy on one side.
Yeah.
I like
And so I think with that and modern LEDs, you're getting stuff to finish like back when the breeders used to say it's like 8 to 9 weeks. It would be because they could get it to finish at 8.
Specifically with far red. If you're running a little bit of far red in your spectrum, I'm noticing that they're making a difference on my harvest. Is coming faster now. And I'm not doing the thing the 5 minutes after. I'm not doing that. I'm just doing the traditional
running it the whole cycle.
Just running that far red in my light cycle.
I
Stay
do the
under
both.
10%. If you go over 10% and higher, you start getting stretch and shit. But if you stay under 10% with the far red, and I usually, if you want to wait, if you have the ability to wait to introduce it, maybe you're supplementing it, you can wait till after stretch. Then you don't have to worry about it at all. But I would still stay under 10%.
Yeah, I run so for transition when they are when I first flip for the first couple of weeks, I run a little less blue than I do in veg, but then I switch as soon as they start flowering. I switch them over to more red, the red dominant spectrum.
That's perfect. That's the way I do it too. Yep. I like essentially you could
Hey, do you go back? Do you go back the last
Yes.
couple of days back
Last
to
week.
blue like the last week or whatever?
Last week? Yep.
Yeah, so
Thomas likes to do the 2 weeks. He'll go like 50% of the blue back in, and then the last week all blue. But I like the big sudden change. I think it makes a bigger stressor on it.
yeah.
So
I'll usually do that and decrease the PPFD at the same time, or
Yep.
like or and I'll be dropping my room temps as well.
Yep. Yep, for
Like
sure. It's easy for
like
me to
pretty
do.
much like finishing them off and be like, oh, I'm gonna plummet my temps, let them get a lot more dry,
Yep.
give them some blue, give them blue light.
Slow them down a little bit, let them chill. That
Yeah.
blue light pushes more cannabinoids for sure at the end. I'm convinced of it.
I just like,
I saw research in like max yields many years ago, and that's actually why I added the 440 nanometer blue to my light. Was there was some study that found 440 nanometer blue punched up not only terpenes but also cannabinoids. So it's like that's a win-win, and it also increased anthocyanin production. I was like, I get more purple plants, more terpy plants.
that's one
And
thing it can help do. With a combination of with that blue light and colder temperatures, it can really pop, make colors pop under the LEDs.
And you can do that if you with whatever you have in there. with
Yeah.
the LED booster bar. Just throw in that
Yeah.
specific, like maybe a 660 for your red and a 440 or 450 for your blue, and you can just pop those bars in there at those key times and then pull them out. And you don't have to get a spectrum tuning light if you don't have it. You can step up, a half a step. You don't got to make that huge jump. And those bars tend to be fairly cheap.
I mean, you can
You
grow fucking great weed without having to do all this extra stuff too. It doesn't matter.
under straight up
Right,
white
I
we're
LED.
talking about
I ran
hobbyist.
checkerboard,
Yeah,
metal halide HPS, for years, and then I switched to CMH, and then switched to LED. So I've run the whole gamut, and it's like you
All
can
of them
grow
grow
weed,
fire.
you can grow fire
yeah.
under
You forgot
fucking
about CFL before
any
that.
It's
light.
just about how much of yield you're going to get per gram per watt. And I do think that you get slightly more efficient. I think HPS actually still hangs a lot better with LED than most people will give it credit to, especially if you're looking at the double-ended, modern, good ones. If you run them for like 6 months and swap them,
Not in
or
tight
under a
spots.
year. But that said, I would prefer an LED just for the lots of reasons. So when you dim it, you don't change the spectrum, which is not true of any HID bulb, metal
Yeah.
halide, CMH, or HPS. If you
That's
dim
one of the cool things
LED, it's the
too is
same exact spectrum.
like the same space that I would have lit up with 1,000 watt HPS. I'm lighting up with like a 640 watt light, but I'm doing it and then I'm only running that at like maybe 50% on average. So it's more like 340 watts. So it's like there's an exponential increase in efficiency when you're doing that. But again, the only thing that LEDs do not have in comparison to HPS is just that raw heat, that infrared, and that does have a big effect, not on plant morphology or anything else. It just has an impact on the canopy temperature, which if you're looking at canopy leaf surface temperature from a vapor pressure deficit perspective, and you're looking at it from a water transpiration perspective, you're probably running higher VPD under HPS lighting if you were to do like scientific analysis. And so you have to run hotter temperatures in LEDs, and then you have to adjust the humidity to match that same VPD and spectrum if you wanted to get the exact same output and mimic that HPS lighting
We
situation.
talked about this, I think, right before you jumped on. Somebody's asking about the different VPD charts, or just kind of the difference in the offset between like the room temp and the leaf temp. And we were kind of mentioning, I, I was mentioning, I think probably temperatures and humidities that Noah would be uncomfortable with because he's in an HPS room. So if I was saying, oh yeah, you should run it at this RH, I think that's different in an HPS room. I think it
Mhm.
should be lower. It should
Yeah.
be drier and it should be colder in an
Well, you can
HPS
also
environment.
gauge that temperature by the leaf surface by using a laser thermometer
That's
as
what I do.
opposed to, you can look at your room temperature and and mess with it and to see if it's having an impact on the leaf surface temperature with how, much light and heat your canopy is receiving from that light. Um, and kind of gauge like, okay, this is where I should set my room based off of my leaf surface temperature VPD.
That's what I do. And I'm fortunate, I guess, in my environment, it's usually within 0 to 2 degrees difference, and I would say it's usually, if my thermometer says it's 80 and I shoot the leaf temp, it might say 78, you know, it's usually a little bit lower than what my environment thinks it is. And that's just my sensors and my environment or whatever. But I've heard people that have the opposite. I've also had it be exactly the same. It says it's 80 and the leaf surface temp is 80. So I generally run it like high 70s, on the lowest part of the 80s end that I can keep things. And then temps and humidities from 50 to 70 and flower 50 to 60. I'm curious if you guys, we could all just go down and say what our temp and humidity ranges that we're comfortable with in veg and flower before we get to Let's Be Buds question. And I want to ask Noah first because he's an HPS guy. What temp and humidity are you shooting for in veg, and what temp and humidity do you shoot for in flower? And give me a range like I just gave.
Well, I mean, that's okay. So shooting for and what I rock because of you know what I mean, like the way it's rolling and everything around me. Okay,
Give your
so
ideal because I want people to shoot for what
yeah,
you
okay,
could do
so
on your best day.
in veg, I'm going 72 temp, 60 humidity, and then in flour, very similar, probably 70, 72. If I can do it, I could go up to 74. I could even do higher. I have done higher because I'm forced to. But yeah, I don't even know. Probably like as low humidity as I could get. You know, I mean, obviously in flower, I'm not talking like in the 20s or 30s, but I would say probably 40 to 50 range. Temperature in flower, probably, like I said, 66 to 72, depending on what the overall temp and humidity range is around me. I live in the Pacific Northwest, so you're not going to have picture perfect temps. Right now, we have an atmospheric river going. They say that in the next 2 days, we're going to have 6 to 7 inches of water in my area. So, hey man, we're gonna have the dehumidifier going, and we're gonna do what's best, button down the hatches, and roll with it. But I mean, obviously, ideal situation if everything was like completely controlled would be different than what I have to deal with sometimes.
I've had similar situations where it rains like crazy for a while and or it gets super dry like with the Santa Anas and you kind of just gotta make best with what you can for a couple days and the plants are resilient and I think if it's less than a week usually you're not going to see major issues. If it's on the damper side I do get a little bit more concerned. I would probably thin the leaves out a little bit more than I typically would and make sure that my airflow is just really moving everything around. If my RH is on the higher side later in flower than I would typically want it to be. But I'm also kind of curious to hear Spartan Grown, and then after him, Brandon Russ's ideal VP, not VPD, just temperature and humidity in veg, and then temperature and humidity for flower. And go ahead, Spartan.
So for me, I'm in a situation where I'm perpetual, so they're on all different stages. I would love to be able to manipulate it for each stage of the plant, but I can't really do that. So I just have it a general in the middle, shoot for the middle. So I'm like, again, I'm under LED, so I'm shooting for low 80s, 80 to 82 temperatures, Fahrenheit. And honestly, I don't like my lights off temperatures to very much, but more than 10. If I could get it to be the same, I would be fucking thrilled with that. So, but I'm okay with it drifting up to 10 degrees cooler at the night cycle. And then, well, oh, and veg. And veg, is a little bit cooler in there just because I don't want to put a heater in that room. So, but it tends to be in the 70s, 70s and then 60% humidity in there is totally fine. In fact, I don't really care too much if the humidity was 80 degrees in there, I'd be okay with that in the veg room. But because I usually spray once a week in there anyway, so I'm not really worried, and I've never had issues in that with like molds or anything. And they just when it's like a rainforest, they grow like a rainforest, and I love it. But it's not often that humid, especially in the wintertime in Michigan, so it's almost impossible to keep the humidity that high. So I never really struggle with humidity. If I'm struggling with humidity, it's always adding it. I'm always have to add it and I don't like to do that ever if I can avoid it. So my humidities, even in my flower room, tend to hover around 50 to 60 in that range.
I think that's solid and works for sure. And I saw this really cool heating system that might be worth it for anybody who's in the Midwest or Michigan or Ohio or something like that. This dude had a system, and granted, he has a lot of wood and he has a bunch of acres of land that a lot of the wood is actually like problematic and dying. So he cuts it up and uses it for firewood and stores it. But the system he had, he basically feeds it with wood, gets a fire going, and then like heats up these water pipes that basically run like his heater for his house. And it has like a fan that basically keeps it running at a certain speed and it's a pretty fascinating system. So I was blown away that I hadn't seen that before, but it seemed sort of old school. But yeah, fascinating the different ways that people can heat their homes and save money and things like that. So, but there's also tons of other things, natural gas or even you know wood burning stoves and ovens and things like that can really heat the house up pretty well. And more modern heating coils and things like that for
Yeah,
heat
all
pumps.
different, yet, and all those things add different things to the environment, you know. Some things like wood will tend to suck a lot of the moisture out of the air, where if you're using like a propane heater, that kind of tends to add some moisture into the air. So it
And
really depends.
CO2, I think.
Yeah, it all depends on what you're burning. Yeah, so it depends. Be aware. Be aware of if you're doing, alternate heat sources, knowing what it adds, or there's always going to be another challenge in that environment that's going to affect when you add something in there to control it.
It's a very good point. And I do want to pass it to Brandon Russ and get your general ranges that you're comfortable with or aiming for, I should say, ideally for veg, temperature and humidity, and for flower, temperature and humidity.
Yeah, so this is really cool. I have this VivoSun app, right? And if I go right here to this little camera, I installed a camera so you can see the garden on there, and I'll put a little SD card in there, and it's gonna do a
Time
time
lapse.
lapse. Yeah. But
Nice, man.
it's cool because with this I can control the temperatures and stuff, which I actually just turned the humidifier on, and I turned it on by VPD, and I set it to 1.1 for veg, and it's at 1.0 right now. So it is
If you could pick a
71.
temp and humidity though, like if VPD is out of the equation, I know that's what it eventually adds up to. But if you were aiming for like in your ideal circumstances, what
Oh,
what are you shooting for?
yeah, so anyway, in under LED lights, I like to run them a little warmer. I'm okay up to about 84 degrees. They're usually not running that hot, but I'm okay with it. Like I'm like, run it, let's go. It's gonna be fine. That's the leaf surface temperature, by the way. And then for humidity in veg, I'm typically running pretty high humidity, usually around like because I'm running higher temps, so I'm usually running higher humidity around 70%. And then I'll usually keep those numbers pretty consistent through the first couple of weeks of flowering before I start, manipulating the VPD and start increasing the VPD, which I'm usually decreasing the RH by doing that, and then later on, I'm decreasing the leaf surface temperature at the canopy, and I'm decreasing the lights and decreasing the humidity.
Very well said, and I pretty
But
much
oh
agree
yeah,
with.
for flower though, humidity is typically, after that first 2 weeks, it starts dropping from 70 and can go all the way down to about 45, depending on the cultivar. Some stuff likes a little bit drier, because they're maybe a little bit denser, or they're like stacked a little more close together and stuff. So, but that's usually my target. That's my range that I'm usually operating in.
Very, very good points and very closely mirrors or is exactly the same as what I'm doing or aiming to do is maybe didn't eloquently say it, but I also like that Spartan mentioned that if I could keep it the same daytime and nighttime, that I'd be fine with that. And I've had grows that were doing just that and the plants thrived and were great. I've also had grows where it did drop 10 degrees at night. And like I do think that does bring out a little bit of color. I think it might slow them down a slight tiny bit. I
Definitely
don't think it
slows them
necessarily
down.
I don't think it hurts the yield super bad, but like I think it does slow them down a tiny bit. But both ways, from within like a 10-degree or less swing, or keeping it basically like 80 degrees constantly, daytime and nighttime all the way through, ends up working out just fine. And
Yeah.
so I do
You're
like
gonna
it slightly
naturally
cooler at the
see,
end.
I mean, you would naturally see a slight decrease when usually when the lights are off and stuff, you typically you're gonna see that. Not always, maybe if you're like in a really hot place and you don't have air conditioning or whatever, but
That was me, dude. I was in you know where I used to live, and
yeah.
when my lights would go off, the day happened. So like the sun would be coming up, and
Yep.
I was in a tiny little trailer, and that thing would get hot, and I would just have, fans on the windows. I didn't have any air conditioning,
Yeah.
and I would use the fans as basically like a way to kind of heat and cool the house or whatever, and use like the whole entire living area as a lung room. And
Yeah.
so it ended up working out, but it wasn't ideal
Yeah.
by any means. But I've got much more I don't have AC, but
They're
much
they're
better
pretty
heating.
resilient, man. You'd be surprised. You can go into pretty low temperatures. I mean, as long as they're
Even
not
high too.
freezing, as long as they're not freezing, then
I know dudes who, because HPS was so hot and AC was so expensive and difficult to do properly back in the early like trap era, they were running 90-degree rooms. Sometimes that would get up to 100 degrees, and they were still having harvests. It wasn't the greatest, best looking stuff, but they were getting to harvest still. And you know, obviously it was much better when it
We
was in the 80s,
we
but
loved fucking hot temperatures, man. Well,
yeah, it
also
grows
like it grows
fast.
fucking yeah.
Yeah,
We've
that's why
had
I like to
rooms.
run my temperatures a little bit on the warmer side, especially those first couple of weeks. because it really just helps with, and not only that, but, when you're thinking about it just from a whole system perspective, um, I'm not. I don't have to spend as much on like cooling the room down, or like I'm not spending as much as on dehumidification usually because it's warmer. They're transpiring a little bit more. It's more humid, and well, I mean, and so, and then also the temperatures and stuff in the soil are a little bit warmer. So like the soil is actually performing better. The biology is a little happier, because they're nice and warm and like they're like, yeah, they got energy in there.
I think that's why the plants green up when I tell people with no nutrient change, no water change, nothing else, they'll be in a 70 to 73-degree room under LEDs. I'll have them bump it up to 78 and immediately the plants green up and start growing faster and nothing else changed. And I do think the biology and I just think both the plant and the soil biology are happier in that temperature range. And so it just makes things cycle quicker. I will say it also, if you have pests, makes those cycle way fucking faster because I saw somebody who had a hot room with spider mites and the cycle time when it's
Oh yeah.
warm and humid for spider mites is insanely fast. And if you don't treat it and aggressively take them out, they will fuck up your grow room really quick.
What's really interesting too is like in some situations, if your room is operating at a cold temperature, let's say, oh, you're like, oh man, we're getting into 56 degrees or whatever every night, and it's like, well, there's nothing we could do about it. Let's say you're in a greenhouse or something like that. If you had like some insects will just not be able to tolerate those cooler temperatures, and so you know they'll go away too.
Slow down or die. That's what Spartan always mentions loving about the winter over there in Michigan, which is you guys are kind of in the midst of it from what I'm seeing. I've seen some pretty low temperatures on the I watch Al Roker giving me the national weather report and man, there's been some low, even some negatives. I think it's probably around the freezing in Michigan if it's anything like Ohio right now, or if I'm
It's been
recollecting
chilly
correctly.
Yeah,
out here.
it's 15 degrees currently in Michigan.
Oof.
Oh, fuck
I was
that.
telling my wife, so
Yeah.
there's two real break points for me
Oh
at
man.
least, like 32 degrees. Once it gets
It's
below
above
freezing,
freezing
it
here still.
sucks.
So.
But like once it gets below zero, that's a whole different level of really terrible. And like especially with wind chill, like it might be -10, but it's actually -55 because the wind chill or whatever. And ooh, that's some brutal living out there. So hopefully you guys don't see too much of that and have a mild winter ahead of you. Hopefully.
I think the next time that we see above freezing temperatures is Wednesday, and that's 37 degrees, baby, as a high.
And Spartan's gonna be out there in his shorts and
No,
flip
I won't.
flops. I know guys that are like that. It's
Why do you think I started growing this beard, guys? I'm trying to stay warm over here.
it's effective. You and I was gonna say Chad Westport when you saw him, probably easy to identify because he's got a nice big beard and a
Yeah.
pretty lush set of hair.
Oh
So
yeah. Oh yeah. It was the meeting of the beards, man.
that's funny. I do think it makes us easier to spot in a crowd, because
Oh yeah.
I think maybe all the shit that they're putting in the food, a lot of people can't grow a beard anymore. All the testosterone's fucked up. People are infertile. Maybe not just testosterone related. There's a lot of genetics that go into it. There's like when I was in Mexico, I had a Mayan guy who was a descendant of like the Mayans, and he was a tour guide. He was telling us all about Mayan culture and Mayan history, and basically said that like all Mayan men can't grow facial hair. They're just like completely like they could be 30, 40, 50 years old and they just never grow. They don't have to shave. They're just completely clean shaven
Like
all
a
the
lot of
time.
the Native Americans are that way too.
It's fascinating,
Yeah.
different genetic things like that. But getting back on the topic of growing cannabis, Let's Be Buds asked this great question earlier, which was, and I will say, Abolished mentioned one of their largest harvests came out of a hot room, like I was mentioning earlier, like one of those 90-degree rooms that they just kind of had to do it. And so shit happens.
It
And
makes sense, like what Brandon was saying. It's just going to make them transpire more, which is pushing
Yeah.
more nutrients, and it's just
Yeah.
it's the
making them
Jungle
grow bud
Boys
faster.
mentality
Yeah.
or MO, modus operandi. But they ran
Let
hot,
it get a little
humid
warm
rooms.
in there. That's why I think a lot of people like anecdotally believe that HPS are better. It's just like, yeah, they do run a little warmer. They do add that heat, but you can let things get a little warmer
I have
and
an
leave
actual
you.
heater on my
I
wall
run
that's so
things real
fucking
warm.
effective.
I've got a
This
heater down
electric
there for
heater,
me.
if
Yeah.
I run it for more than an hour, my whole place is way too fucking hot. So it's like a few minutes of it will get the temperature bumped up 3, 5 degrees or whatever I need. And if my wife is comfortable, she's from Arizona. She always jokes, I'm not joking actually. She always says San Diego is the coldest place she's ever lived because she's lived in Arizona, Orlando, and San Diego. So it's factually accurate to say that this is the coldest place she's ever lived. And sometimes we do get in like today our low was 39. So getting close to Spartan Grove over there a little bit. And for San Diego, that's pretty dang cold.
I would
I
trade you
had
in a minute.
I had the long sleeve shirt on. I was thinking about going out this morning, and I asked my little thing, "What's the weather?" And it said, "It's 39 degrees right now." And I said, "Ooh, I'm throwing out my hoodie because 39 is not long sleeve t-shirt weather, that's for sure. Even if it's a high in the 60s or whatever it was." But yeah, that said, getting off the weather and back to Let's Be Buds, to ask a lovely question, which was, I know that during the night, cannabis plants exhale oxygen. What else goes on when they are sleeping that I should be aware of? Do you have any thoughts on that, Brandon?
I'm not sure they're doing a whole lot while the lights are off.
But
I
there's a
think,
whole there's like a photo system 1 and 2. So I think that's number 2 kicks in during the night cycle. What that's doing, I haven't really looked that much into it, but I know that
I've
it's like
heard that they send like hormones down to the roots or something during the nighttime. I haven't actually seen data or science to support that. That might be some hippy dippy old wives' tale BS, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of, I think just like us, right? Like we during the daytime, we're active, our brains are working, and our brain waves are a certain way, and then when we fall asleep, our brain waves are different. And on
yeah,
a different
they're
scale, like our
not
heart rates.
photosynthesizing, so they're not really like uptaking nutrients because transpiration is a process in the photosynthesis process to capture that water to convert it in to split the hydrogen from that oxygen to convert that hydrogen with the carbon and oxygen from CO2, and then the byproduct of that is oxygen, right? And so I'm not sure that that's a true statement. I'm not sure that they are liberating oxygen at night. I think that the most of the time that they're doing that during photosynthesis.
That would make sense to me as well. And
I just did a
a lot of the
quick
CO2 builds at
search.
night.
Yeah, I just did a quick search and it says it does a couple things as respiration because it like when he was just going over it, it consumes the oxygen. It took in and it uses that to to make the sugars, and then it uses those sugars to produce ATP energy during the night. And this energy is used to fuel growth, maintenance, and other metabolic functions. It releases CO2 as a byproduct at that time.
Yeah.
And then, but most of the cell division and growth, known as, the cell elongation, happens at the night cycle too, because it's stored up during the day, it's photosynthesized, and then it's metabolized to build new plant tissue, resulting in vertical growth and expansion of leaves and buds. And then the root growth, like you're saying, Jack. A bunch of it says root growth and nutrient absorption also tend to be more active during the dark cycle, and the plant
So
uses this time to
maybe
recover and repair.
maybe he meant CO2 at nighttime,
Perhaps.
but because
It's
that is a
also
definite thing that you'll see, especially if you're got like a CO2 monitor. What you'll see is the CO2 levels, especially in like CO2 rooms, will skyrocket during the
Yeah,
nighttime.
yeah, for
We used
sure.
to have CO2 alarms on our stuff, and we'd have to in the commercial facilities, and we
Have
would
to
have to
dump the
vent
room.
at nighttime. So we'd have to vent those rooms because they're producing CO2.
Isn't that stupid? I hated that. I hated
well,
having to
if it's
have a
above
hole in the
5,000,
wall. Yeah, hated to have a hole in the wall to vent out CO2 and then pump CO2 in the room during the day. Like, what the fuck are we doing?
it'd be
Yeah,
cool if you could like vent that CO2
I don't
into
add
a
CO2 into my
chamber to use.
rooms because I have sealed rooms. So they produce their CO2 on their own through microbial metabolism. So it's always when the lights are on, probably around 1,000 ppm of CO2 in there.
That's sweet.
Yeah, I had a CO2 monitor for a while, and I was surprised when I figured out like the lowest my levels were getting were like 1,200 in my spot in the grow. And it was just like between me and my cats, the soil and everything else. At night it got even higher, So it would only get up to like 2,400 or something like that. But it would consume a decent chunk of that throughout the daytime. So it's just also interesting hearing Spartan talking about all the different stuff because like it is odd to I would love to see if your camera that you're going to use the time lapse on has like a night vision or whatever, and if it could see like the difference in movement and growth daytime versus nighttime. And
Oh,
I feel like it does do a bit
see
of
here.
growth during both periods, but it'd be fun to actually see. Like I've seen a couple of those time lapses where even like it's like a seedling like day one and you like see it like kind of like swirling around as it goes up. And it's amazing some of the detail that you can get with
Night
some of
vision
the cameras
mode.
and stuff
It's
that we have
got
modern
night vision
technology.
mode, bro.
Heck yeah, man.
I'm
That's what I
fucking
like to hear.
turning
So
that
we will.
auto. I'm turning that on. Night
So
vision. I'm turning that on. Hell yeah.
we're gonna get to see Brandon Rust firsthand do a little time lapse and see the difference between daytime growth, nighttime growth, and just the reaction of the plants,
Well,
which
so
is
here's the
fun to
thing.
see.
You could just sink like a ruler behind it so you can watch it grow with a ruler,
Can
you know.
can you guys see this like green back there?
Yep.
Okay, so that's actually like a green screen. Then I have a table that also has a green cover on it. But what I'm doing is I'm doing videos here. So over here, I did a video earlier, POV video for the new YouTube channel, Brandon Rust Grows, and that's just on simple popping seeds. So right now I've got them soaking for like 24 hours or whatever, and then I'm gonna put them into the media. But I also have a little 2x2 tent that I added into this closet, and it's all controlled. It's got a little camera on it. I'm gonna get eventually a second camera to put over here so I could do lives and be like, okay, here I'm taking clones live, and you'll be able to see like from a top view, like everything that I'm doing. And there'll be two cameras and stuff. It's gonna be cool. I've got this. I'm setting up this whole room because like I remodeled the room, and then I like built that out into like a little studio. So I've got more cool stuff coming. But
That's
yeah, dude,
sweet.
that tent right now is for these seeds that I'm popping, but I put some plants in there from to make a little bit more room because I'm sending out sex tests for this new batch of seeds, and they're already big enough to take clones, but I want to figure out which ones, if they're male or female. And it is Chem Dog cross to Gas, which is Starfighter and Mac. So it's gonna be fucking awesome. I can't wait for it. But also in one of my other tents right now, I'm at about day 30 of flowering on a new batch of Chem D crossed to Black Lime Reserve, the Black D. And dude, I'll tell you what, man. When you walk in my house, you can smell the sour. Like you can smell the sour right when you walk in. It is so I get so excited and I go in there every day and I touch them and I shouldn't, but I go in there and I touch them just to get a little bit of that oil on my fingers so I can like, for the next couple hours I can smell my fingers.
Oh yeah.
You just got to grow a mustache, bro, and then you just get a
Smell my
little in the
fingers,
stash, and it's
bro.
there for the whole day.
It's like the only time that that's appropriate is when your homeboy's like, your homeboy's growing weed.
There's a meme about that. It's like I think it's one of the I think it might be what the fuck's his name? The
Abolished
all
farmer.
right guy. And he's like it's like Abolish Farmer does share this meme, but it's like two guys holding up their fingers to each other. And I think it's from like Fast Times at Ridgemont High or something like that. I'm gonna spotlight myself here for a second.
Dude,
Uh,
are you guys on the Discord, my Discord channel?
I'm not on Discord yet. I need to make one for the So what up, though? If you want to change the camera around, I think it's like you tap the screen, then go over there, over there. Seed person's gonna be joining us as well. You're
I
not
don't think
on
I
camera
have
right
it.
now, so
How do I get the
My
link?
Discord is set up super awesome now. It's got all these different categories. Like it's I had somebody come in there, they're like, "Hey, I can help you set this up all awesome." And I was like, "Hell yeah." And he did.
Shoot me an invite. I'll check it out. What's up?
You want to check it out? Let me
Yeah, I
see.
will.
Yeah, I'll check it out too.
I'm on
put it in,
Discord
put it
quite a
in the
bit.
cheap home grow group chat.
Okay, let me generate a link.
We got What Up Doe Grow with us now. Cheers, What Up Doe Grow. I'm gonna unspotlight all of us because I just spotlighted us to make sure that nobody accidentally shows their face if they don't want to. And remove spotlight. And I'm gonna remove the spotlight from Brandon and then remove the spotlight from Spartan. And then we should have our gallery view here, and we got a set of plants under some LED bar lights. What up, Doe Grow? Welcome in. Cheers to you. How's it going?
How you guys doing?
Good, good. What are we looking at?
Doing good.
Oh, we got some uh these are some this is the Insane OG from Barney's Farm. That Be Real release with Barney's Farm.
Nice.
And then right here is a cross that I made. It's flapjacks cross to raspberry bomb. It's looking
Heck yeah,
pretty
man.
nice.
Some frost going on in there. Some
And again, frosty. Smells great.
what size
Already.
pots are you in?
Oh, those are in 2 gals.
I was gonna say it looks
These-
like a nice little pheno hunt. You got a bunch of different little plants in here.
That's the 5 gal. This is a blueberry muffin and a 2 gal. Using the AC Infinity Wiccan.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I see that. How do you
Yeah.
like those systems?
They work good.
How are you liking
Especially
the Insane
our
OG from Barney's slash
Oh, that's fire. This is a cut that I'm growing back out. I
Glad to hear,
harvest-
man. I like Be Real. He's according to my wife, has the softest hands of any man on the planet.
Yeah, that shit's really good, man. When I cut the first one down, it smells so good. I believe it's Bubba Kush crossed to OG Kush to Granddaddy Purple is a
Three-way hybrid or something.
process
Sounds
do
fire,
that.
man.
Yeah,
I like Bubba and I like OG. GDP is a nice medical one too.
yeah, it smells so good, man. And then these beasts back here are mango. Oh man, what is it?
Mango Haze.
No, it's now I can't think of it. It's from in-house genetics. Mango something. I forgot the name of it now.
Is it Mango Madness?
Yeah, Mango Madness. There you go.
There
I'm
you
sorry. Yeah,
Seed person clutching.
yeah. But they got beat. They're already touching the light up here. I had to put a trellis way at the top just to hold them up.
Nice. Those things are stretchy, man.
Yeah, they stretched too far. I didn't think they were going to stretch that big. But the
It just goes to
nugs-
show you modern LEDs are so much better than like if that was a cob, it'd be totally blasting and roasting all those tops and they'd be bleached out. With bar lights, because you can kind of like angle them and try and get them in between the bars so it's not like directly underneath and things like that. You can kind of get away with growing pretty damn close to the lights and not having major
Yeah, it spreads
consequences.
those diodes out way better.
coming out
Just
nice.
way
Yeah,
better even light.
good.
That's some nice color, nice frost in there.
Again,
That's a
some
nice
color.
super crop.
I dropped that link for the Discord in the Zoom chat, and then I tried to put it on YouTube, but I'm not an administrator, so
Just make a general comment and then I'll add you as a mod.
I
But,
did. I'm on there.
Yeah, there's some beasts. Super chunky.
Are they mango smelling? Do they smell mango-y to you?
Yeah, they got
Mango.
like mango and like, oh, I can't explain it. It's got mango, but it smells like mango and like gas.
Oh, I
No-
think
no
that's a
problem
good
with that.
combo. That's a good combo right
That's
there.
right up my alley.
Those would be some easy ones to trim for sure. There's hardly no
That'll make
leaves.
good concentrate. Mango and gas. I had a papaya gas that was fire. It was pink runts. Ooh,
Yeah.
fire.
I had somebody get me some rosin down there that was some pineapple gas, and that's some fucking fire.
And then over here, some more
Fruit gas
sweet-
combo is just pleasing. So, go ahead. What up, though?
Well, the blueberry train mac is so awesome.
These are some more seeds I made.
What are these
This
ones?
These are legendary cherry crossed to raspberry bomb. This one back here. And then this is raspberry bomb crossed to flapjacks. I believe the flapjacks is from in-house too, I think. I
Was it a
believe.
fem cross or is the raspberry bomb a male?
The raspberry bomb was the male. Yeah, but these are super frosty. Too.
Did you run females of the raspberry bomb and like it, and that's what made you want to breed with it?
Yeah, yep. Yep, I had a male, so I took that and crossed it to a few strains. But it smells so good. It smells like a raspberry cheese Danish kind of. Because that raspberry bomb has a cheese in it. I forgot what cheese that she used for it, but yeah, it's got like a cheesy raspberry smell.
Sounds fire.
Yeah, it smells so good.
Sounds really good.
Yeah, they look nice and frosty.
Are you gonna harvest all this for flour? Do you do any concentrates at all?
It's probably just for flour. I have nothing to make concentrates with at the time.
Well, you're gonna have a flour for a little bit, man. That's nice.
Do
Yeah,
you have a trim bin at least? Some trim bin hash?
yeah. I could do that. I had that for sure. But yeah, these are all using
I
the
need to
blue
get
man.
myself a trim bin. I've been using a freaking cookie sheet.
Brandon,
Oh
I swear,
man,
bro,
the
it
Trim
will
Jim, get that
honestly
shit.
just
It's
get
worth
it.
it.
Buy it tonight. Don't
I know
fucking
I've
wait.
had them before. I don't know what the heck happened to mine. It's probably like got left somewhere, or I don't
I
know.
love the trim bin, man. The ergonomics of it, how it sits on your lap and like your hands fit in there, and
I
then
just
it
want the
has a
hash.
150 micron screen, and
Yeah,
like you
give me that
just,
hash.
oh my goodness, it's so easy. You don't even have to clean it up. It just smokes good on a bowl. It smokes good by itself and joints. It supercharges everything. I love it.
I love these Trader Grows, man. They work awesome.
Yeah.
Autopot.
Oh, that's cool. You just have two fabric pots sitting on the Trader Grows.
They
You
just
get
sit
two
right
in
on
there.
there.
Nice.
Water only. That shit it works great. I think I'm gonna get another one and put in the front here.
Growing is fun.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Especially making it easier with the Trader Grows or the Autopots or Sips or City Pickers or anything that makes it easier. I was talking on Eagle's show last night about
Might be easier.
I saw an ad. It was for not cannabis, but it was like an easy plant. It was like a plant that came in like probably a 2 or 3 gallon plastic pot, and like 80 or 90% of it was filled with soil, and then the last like 10 to 20% had an oval, and in that oval it went straight down to the bottom, and you could tell if you're like me, it's a sip. So they fill it up with water and it does once a month. It's like easy for house plants. You just fill it up,
That's
and if it's
cool.
empty, then you refill it. You
Oh
fill it all
yeah.
the way up to the top, so it makes growing easy. We got Noah the Grower showing off his garden as well, and we got Vark Dog in here. I do want to give Seed Person One an opportunity to introduce himself because he was the second guest to join us who hasn't properly been introduced quite yet. So welcome in, Seed Person, and Noah Garden's looking fire over there as always. Cheers to you.
What's up, y'all? I was just wanted to say hey and check in, but I don't really have anything super pressing to show off. I got some interesting stuff if you want to get to that after What Up, Doe Grow. But yeah, I was just coming to say hey, and I got some cool re-veg stuff. But other than that, not really much going on.
That's fun.
No, no worries, man. I love seeing all the gardens in all the different stages. Looks like we're seeing some of Noah's veg area here for a rare glimpse. We don't typically get into the area over there.
Yeah, that's why I thought I thought I'd turn it on and just show it off real quick.
Love that.
I
Cheers,
got
Noah.
I'm transplanting those ones into fives right now as we speak. I just emptied the arrow cloner. I do work while I hang out with all you guys.
Hey, it's smart. Multitask. Get stuff done. I will say, what up, though, Grow? What are we looking at over here? It looks like some stuff earlier on. What's around the plants? Is that like a brown paper, just like a mulch layer almost?
Yeah, that's just cardboard paper. Yep. Those
Keeping
are
it
autos.
simple.
Yeah. Keep the top moist in its bed.
I've seen people do that for like building, raised bed gardens and stuff, and all different great purposes of it breaks down over time and holds moisture and uh, biodegradable. So might as well.
Yeah. Keep the worms alive. I got a bunch of worms in there, so gotta keep them happy.
Good stuff, man. What are these autos that we're looking at? What strains?
Uh Tangy, what is it? It's got a weird name. Tangy Weddings, I believe.
Okay. I got a
Yeah.
Tangy cross. I'm smoking
Breed
on Tangy
Genetic.
Durban tonight with some THCV uh,
Yeah.
infuse.
Yeah, he makes some good autoflowers, this guy. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him. Alabrije Genetics.
I'm not familiar, but I'm also not an autoflower guy, admittedly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not too many people are. Alabrije.
It's a cool package. Looks
Yeah.
like they like spray painted it.
Once he sells his once he puts out his seeds, they'll sell out right away. It's got good packaging. That's what they are. The Sonny Tibu Wawa. I got it mixed up.
I got a
Hey, I
person
don't.
close to me that wants to start some autoflowers, and I admittedly do not know very much at all about them. And they want to start some outside this next year, and they're asking me. So I got my ear to the ground, paying attention to a little autoflower for an outdoor grow for a friend of mine.
Yeah, check this dude out, man. He makes some good stuff. But once his drops, they sell out like within like 24 or 48 hours. Everything's gone. You
Night
got to
Owl is
grab.
another one, and formerly
Yeah, that is
Mephisto.
good.
They do really good autoflowers as well. From everyone I see who's grown them, I've gotten to
Mm.
smoke a couple of those and actually seen it make it to the California rec market. The Three Bears OG made it into a concentrate that I picked up from, or my wife actually brought home from a dispensary. I was pretty surprised to see that and looked it up, and there was no photo period version. So I was like, damn, autoflower making it to the market.
Don't
I'll
forget
run it
about
past you, Jack, in a direct message in the next couple months. Like I
a
said,
don't,
this is a person that's close to me, and like I said, I have no experience with the autoflowers. I've tried it, and it's not really my deal. So, but I do have a friend that wants to try it out. So,
well, don't forget our buddy Dan over at Gnome.
oh, dude,
Genetics.
that guy's the
He's
man.
he's who you ask. He's gonna tell
He's
you
definitely a good person to
everything you
reach
need
out
to
to.
know.
Oh
And
yeah,
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 he
yeah.
Mark
will.
Dog. Did you get your
Um,
calcium silica?
Who?
Vark Dog.
Not yet, buddy.
You
I
didn't
think
get
it's
it?
I think it's set to come in tomorrow.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to
yeah,
make
no,
sure you got that we got you taken care of.
yeah, no. I just want to shout out Dan. When my kid was shot and was in the hospital, he sent my family some food and stuff. That dude is one cool dude. He also hooked me up with the soil guy. So no, I mean, one of the coolest people you'll ever meet is that guy. But I just, like I said, this person is just asking me for opinions, and I have to give an unbiased opinion. But yeah, no,
Well, I
Dan
would
from
say,
Mandalorian Genetics is awesome. So
yeah. Well, now he's Gnome. He had to change it.
no,
So
well, that's right. Yeah,
Gnome
yeah, yeah,
Automatics,
yeah,
because the
but
Mandalorian
yeah.
came back
No.
and became a
he's
TV
also
series.
Oh, dang.
he's also like the founder of Autoflower
Autoflower Network.
Network. So if you have any questions about autoflowers, he can answer them for you for sure.
Decade
Epic
plus
beard game
experience.
too.
Yeah,
Breeding.
exactly.
It gains at least +1 knowledge, if not more. But shout out to him for sure. I remember back on the Breeders Collective we used to do on the Cheap Home Grow with him and Adam from 2020 Mendocino and a few others, and just really awesome to hear all his experience. And he actually was like on the coding of the Autoflower Network. He like did the back end coding of it to make it like physically accessible to people online. So pretty awesome stuff over there for sure. What up, though, girl? You got so many different systems. It's amazing to see. Like you got the watering halos over here. You got the uh,
These are
auto
under
pots.
canopy lights.
Oh, that's a light.
Yeah, it's our under canopy lights. And
Oh,
those
okay.
autopods. Yeah, they sent me them out to try them out, so I was like, I'll try them. They're
Hey,
on a
might as well.
timer, so they're off right now. But
As long
yeah,
as they're not coming on during the night cycle in
yeah,
flower.
I know. Yeah, they got built-in timers on them. They come with these little built-in timers with them. They're like for
It's convenient.
single plants. They're pretty cool.
Hey, for the home grower, I think that
Yeah,
makes accessible under canopy lighting.
we'll see how they work. It's the first time trying them out, so I don't know. We'll see how they go. They're pretty cool.
Doesn't seem like it's really getting in the way of anything, and not too much wattage dedicated to it, I'd imagine. So
Think
can't imagine it'll hurt too much.
I think they're like 60 watts or something like that.
It's not bad.
Well, that's not too bad. Yeah, and these are some more seeds I made. Blueberry muffin to that raspberry bomb in here.
Should be some nice
Vegemite.
flavorful bud right there.
Yeah, they got nice structure to them. Looking good. These are cherry blueberry from Tiki Madman. These two over here.
Tiki. I like Tiki. Shout out to Tiki.
Big ups, Tiki. That's where I got the GG4 and Death Star from.
Yep.
And,
Let's see how these turn out. Yeah, that's about it.
well, thanks for
Yep.
coming on and showing
I
off
think
the garden.
that's
It's looking
it.
great as always. Always cool to see all the different stuff that you're working on, and always sounds tasty. You got me wanting to come try it. And I always interested to see like this clear you know, a lot of different grow tents have different ways of approaching this. Some of them have like a Velcro patch on the front that you could open up like a little window. This has got the whole entire, you know,
I've got the whole clear. I want to get a bigger tent, the same one, but a bigger one. But last time I went on there, they were sold out. I like it though. Comes in pretty cool.
that is a nice system. Because then you don't have to worry about your RH dropping if you have a swing between your lung room and your tent. So
Yeah.
nice to be able to get some eyes on there without having to change the environment and things like that too much.
Yeah. These are looking good. Let's see how they come out. Yeah, I
Good
had asked
stuff.
a question. I had a herm plant in here, and it hermed, and it a little bit of pollen came out, and I think it got onto these two in the back. So I don't. Would those seeds be good to grow
Well,
if they're in here?
they would be feminized. I wouldn't probably think that I was gonna maybe I would probably think I'd get a lot for breeding with it out of that, but you might find some nice fire stuff out of it to grow.
Okay.
But I wouldn't probably want to
That's how GG4 was made.
on. Yeah.
Hmm.
But like I
So
wouldn't
it
want
could
to
be
breed with
fire.
it just because it's been selected now for something that herms, right? So
It will be feminized seeds though.
it should be
For sure.
feminized. Yeah.
Yeah, because it came from a female.
Yeah. Yeah, I caught it one day. I came in here. I seen a little dust on the leaf. I'm like, shit. Sprayed her down. I sprayed all these down, but just in case, I'm sure some of it had to get in here. So I might have some seeds in this stuff.
Yeah,
You
I'd play
will for
around with them
sure.
for sure and grow them, but I wouldn't like I
It
said,
was
I wouldn't like breed with them.
the RS11 plant that hermed. So, all right, let's see what happens.
Hey man, shit happens, but a few seeds isn't gonna kill anybody. A lot of us grew up smoking seeded cannabis and had
Yeah,
to
no,
pick all the
that's
seeds out before we
excellent.
could smoke it.
You just gotta get an album cover and scoop them out there.
Separate them out.
Yep.
Oh man, good times. My brother bought me the Bob Marley Kaya album because he specifically used that album in college to break up his weed over. So it's a reminiscent of good old times. Or not so good times, I guess, with all the seeds, but
Alrighty, fellas. Well, you guys have a good night. Thank you.
hey, thanks for stopping by. What up, though, Grow? Looking good
Yeah,
over there,
no
man.
problem.
Have a good one.
You guys take
Cheers.
it easy. Cheers.
Cheers, man. Thanks for showing the garden. He had all kinds of good stuff going on. I love that.
Oh yeah,
I
tons
had
of
never seen
flavors.
those lights before either. That was pretty cool.
I always love seeing new stuff from the people coming on. I know that Seed Person, you said that you just got some re-veg stuff that you wanted to show off. I don't know if you wanted to pop on now and show us those plants. I'll spotlight myself to make
Yeah, hang
sure
on. I'm
that we
trying to flip
don't
the damn camera around. There we
spotlight
go.
me.
I think I got it.
Alrighty, and then I'll remove my spotlight.
It's weird
And
because when I joined the call, it
garden time.
showed my camera and I flipped it around and then turned it off. And then when I turned it back on, it had it pointed right at me again. So I don't know. Everybody beware. But anyways,
Zoom was on that doxing grind. They're trying to
yeah.
fucking expose all of us.
All right, let me start here. So first off, I got some personal smoke, and it's interesting because What Up Doe grows growing the flapjacks, and I have been growing flapjacks for a couple years now as well, and it's some pretty fire shit. Mac Flurry cross to pancakes, I think it is, which is
Yep.
from in-house, yeah. And then this is the cross sour diesel, which I'm pretty excited about. But then back up in here is all seeded plants. So these all have goth pollen on them. I've got this is a goth girl holding the F2 seeds, platinum pancakes, GG4, and 9-pound hammer. And what I did actually was I went and I picked, where the pre-flowers form, like right at the fuck, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, anyways, the pre-flowers that got pollinated were like the
Bract or-
earliest.
Right at the nose.
Yeah, the first ones, right? So I went and I picked those off, the seeds that were in there, and I planted them and I got 95% germ rate on it. So I actually have the F2 Goth Girls going as they're sprouted here, while the rest of them are still over here on the plant, if that makes
Huh,
sense.
that's crazy.
And in a week, I'm going to take this down because it was growing these pistils out as the pollen was dropping, right? So the first ones are going to be the most mature. But if I harvest it based on that, there's going to be immature seeds in there. So I'm going to let it go longer, and then I'll take them down next Sunday. But I already have the second generation going over here, which I thought was kind of fun.
That's cool. That keeps you
And then,
busy. Now you gotta do
yeah,
a bunch of clones and
I've seen seeds fall out of a live plant and then sprout in the same pot that the pollinated plant that grew seeds was in. It's kind
yeah,
of
I've seen them grow in the
mother,
actual
daughter.
like bud.
yeah,
Start,
so I've seen it
Yeah,
usually
start
in the
sprouting
germinating.
and
bud
shit.
itself. Before it even hits the ground, they're growing.
Life finds a
Uh,
way.
so this is a monster crop clone that I took off of that crazy frosty Goth Girl number 15, and I got it rooted and started re-vegging it at about week 4 of flower, and then um, after I harvested it yesterday, I up potted it and I left a bunch of options. One is a monocrop clone, is an actual plant that it came from. Did I lose you guys?
We lost you a little bit when you went over to this little new section, and I
Ah,
think
shit.
you left a portion of the one that you re-vegged, and you were showing that, and then it kind of cut out.
Oh, sorry, y'all. Yeah, this is let me see if I can. Yeah, so I left. This is that frosty one, that the clone, the monster crop clone. This is the plant that it came from, so I'm re-vegging it in 2 different ways. Um, yeah, what the fuck? Did I lose you
Hey,
again? I'm
no,
sorry,
you're
y'all.
back.
No, no,
Yeah,
you're with
pause, but
us.
you're back now.
Let me stand out here. Maybe that'll help. Um, but
We
anyways,
saw
yeah.
it. Now
So
you
I've
could talk
got
us
that.
through it.
I
I
got
think if
this
you
as
go
a
in there, your
re-veg.
connection's going to drop.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay out here. But it's the one that the clone came off of, the re-veg clone, the monster cropped one. So I have the plant that it came from re-vegging as well. Um, and then I've also got just a whole bunch of shit in here, but I've got some of Spartan stuff. I got an Orange Vortex female, and then 2 Project V's that I haven't sexed yet.
Oh, nice. Oh,
So I was really excited to get that female because the Orange Vortex is the one I was the most excited about, pretty much out of everything in here,
yeah,
honestly.
that orange vortex is one that hasn't been hunted a whole lot yet, so it's cool. I've been getting a lot of reports of like a creamy orange, like an orange push pop kind of
Nice.
things like that.
That's what I like. And then
What was the one
um,
parent on the opposite side? There's Vortex as the
It
father.
was that Orange Dream Haze, or the Orange Dream Haze, which was that Jelly Bean to McNoby Madness.
Oh yeah, nice. Sounds fire.
and then in here I got a bunch of seeded stuff as well. And this is all holding 9-pound hammer pollen. Um, I got a CBD berry gas mask, Flow OG, Harlequin, Banana OG, Platinum Pancakes, GG4, and Flapjacks S1. All holding the 9-pound hammer pollen in here. So I got 7 plants in this little 2x2.
Very nice. That's
Heck yeah, man.
maximizing your plant count, man.
Side
What's a plant count, bro?
Yeah. That's what happens when you count your
side little
plants.
nerd note. Have you guys ever heard of Vortex Oregon?
No, I have
Oh,
not heard of
dude,
Vortex
Spartan,
Oregon.
I promise you, go down that rabbit hole. It's this crazy geological like anomaly. It's like listed on like a lot of lists as like one of the 20. I've lived in this area my whole life since I was 16. I've never been there. I went to go, we were going to go there. It's like 4 hours from my house, but it's this crazy geological thing where balls roll uphill. This scientist, like in like the 1910s, 1920s, did a whole bunch of research on it. Like you can Google that. And,
Going
that's what
into
that
it.
vortex strain is named after. And then when he died, he destroyed all of his scientific paperwork saying that the world's not ready for what it is. It's like a time. I'm telling you,
Well, I'm gonna check it out.
brooms stand up straight up on their own. People appear taller and shorter in other places. I promise you. I'll share some of the research that I've had going down in our group chat. It's nuts. I've been going
Yeah.
down this rabbit hole, and it's right next to this place called Crater Lake, and it's one of the deepest lakes in the entire world. And that place is crazy. And simultaneously, they're both closed right now, temporarily closed. It's pretty
Huh.
crazy. But yeah, I'm telling you, you get bored, look into it. It's fun.
I'm gonna have to check that out. That sounds interesting as fuck.
It is. I thought I'd say it because you guys are. I know you're a big Vortex guy, so
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
that's what it's named after. Straight up.
Dope.
I did
know that.
not know that. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We're learning live here.
They like pick these seeds off right here, and this is like a viable seed right now. I don't know if y'all can see that,
Oh
you
yeah.
can dehusk it, and then there you go. You got a seed.
and it's good to go. And that's what I did. I went straight from the plant, straight into a wet paper towel. And
I think that's the best way. Fresher the better.
Yeah, that's crazy though. But yeah, that's about all I got to show. I want to see what Bark Dog's got because he's got a nice setup. So, but thanks for letting me show off my weird projects and shit. And
Oh, thanks for
I'll
showing
be
them off, man.
getting some of these seeds out to the community here very shortly. So
Great stuff, man. Always a pleasure having you.
thank you. And I'm gonna jump back in chat, but yeah, let's see what Bark Dog's got.
Cheers, seed person. Thank you so much for stopping by. And what up, Vark Dog?
Yeah. How we doing, gentlemen?
Doing good, man. How
We
you
love
doing?
these episodes. Love seeing
love that.
happy, healthy gardens. This is a nice, flat,
Nice
even canopy of beautiful flowering cannabis. For anybody who's just listening, you should
Yeah.
definitely check out the YouTube
Got that
or the Spotify video.
Got that that scrog going on.
Yeah, so I actually made these parts for my sip containers. So I can actually like pull them out of my room, move them all around.
That's awesome.
I
So
saw you wheeling it out earlier. Like you just
Yeah.
literally wheel it out and you can trim it, work on it, water it, re-amend it, do whatever you need to do.
That's pretty
Yes.
cool.
It's pretty sweet. It allows me to kind of get to the back of this one too, which would be a nightmare otherwise. And then so these two are Nuketowns by Irie Jeff or Rasta Jeff. I'll
Nice.
say they are stacking super duper well and tight.
Yeah.
Smells great. I'm about I think 25 days in.
Nice.
This is sour cherry diesel, courtesy of Seed Person, and another Vortex going because my
Holy
wife demands
cow.
it of me.
That thing is fucking crazy looking. It's all wide.
Yeah, it got a little out of control on me. So my my schedules kind of got messed up because I ended up using this room to dry the madness that was my outside garden. So some things vegged a little longer than anticipated before I could get them in here to flower. So like this one is just one plant in this cart and one plant in that cart making up this big ass canopy. Let's see.
Looks great though.
Thanks.
I'm
Little
excited for I got that. You sent me that cut of oh shoot, I'm forgetting the name of it. That one that from Irie.
Yeah, that's at Nuketown. That's what
That
you were just
Nuketown in there.
looking
Yeah. We've got mine still in veg right now.
And then this is my little veg area. So there's some GG4 in there, my Spartan Puke, Vortex. I think I got a 9-pound hammer back there. Oh, and
growers are the most creative gardeners. You
And,
know what I mean?
your Queen Hakan too, also that I'm about to flip. So XYZ Vector hooked me up with like this cool ass watering system. So that's my res. And I gotta peel some stuff back, but you can kind of see my manifold back there.
Oh yeah. And they got all
Then
those different
kind of
white
feeds
colors.
all that. So occasionally I would, while I was still kind of dialing everything in, it was over watering. So I made this old platform basically I'm a general contractor out of shower pan material. And then just threw a little oil pan under it. That way, if I ever get like runoff or something, it just catches it for me and I can just empty the oil pan.
That's super cool. I like that.
And then that's kind of my little clone area. And I'm still kind of deciding what to do over here. It's a bit of a mess, don't mind it. But yeah, that's pretty much it, gentlemen. I just wanted to say hello and show you around a little bit.
It's looking good. Looks nice and clean. That's what I like to see in a garden.
Yeah,
Not
man,
to mention
looks
he's
nice.
busting out a heck of a kitchen remodel that's looking fantastic as well. So
Oh,
you're
thanks.
slaying it over there, man.
Oh, I also moved all my drivers outside because they were cooking my room.
Yeah.
So since I built this room just out of like 2x4s and drywall, and I wrapped the whole thing in plastic and then insulated it, but my room would get up to like 100 degrees if I wasn't careful, and I was constantly running my fans full time. So in the midst of everything over the summer, I moved all my drivers out here, and it's really cut down on my heat in here, which has been nice. It's allowing me to keep kind of like mid-low 70s if I want them, where before I was really battling it.
Very cool.
Good stuff,
Yeah,
man. The
I
plants are
love that.
looking happy and healthy. That's a
Yeah.
lush green, full canopy. I mean, wall to wall buds.
Yeah.
And I love the system that you got with them being on casters and just being able to roll them out so that plant in that back
Are
corner.
you running that Micro Plus in the res?
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's sitting right there, and I'm waiting
Yeah, I
on
saw that when you passed by.
waiting on the Calsil, and I'm actually way overdue. I should have ordered that a long time ago. Oh, and I got a little nod to Spartan. I got old stems as my mulch layer there.
I love that, man. I love it. It all goes
Okay.
back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it looks good, dude. Nice work.
And
Thank
considering cheap home grow, I mean, that's a, big box store tote. That's not a city
Yeah,
picker.
dude.
That's not
I
an Earth
love it.
box.
I love seeing that because
DIY.
it shows you that you could innovate, you could build something on your own and not go with like, a pre-built system or whatever, and you can crush still, so.
Yeah, I had to literally just kind of carve out an area of my basement for myself, man. And then
The
I
other
just
benefit is being on
venture.
wheels, they're not touching cold basement floor. A lot of people have to get them up off the floor and
Yep.
they'll grow way colder in the winter, but having them on those wheels and separating it a little
It's
bit like
good that you
that.
built a room in the basement too, because basements can be difficult because basements can they usually stay pretty cool, but they'll get really humid and stuff too. It's hard to get rid of all the humidity in basements.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother just went through the process of like getting all like the waterproofing and stuff done. He's in like an old Civil
Ohio?
War era home. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the last home in the one of the last homes I should say in the Underground Railroad. So it's kind of an interesting basement, like almost like trapdoor style, like secret basement. And just really interesting
Gotta
build.
get
But
sealed up good, man. That can ruin a property value.
yep, no, he's got it all modernized and fixed up properly.
That's
And
cool.
he's basically got the house for nothing because where he was at and the time. But now it's gone way, way up and he's put, effort into it. And I'm happy for him. He's really moved forward in his life and really cool to see your family succeeding, especially when they've, had their own difficulties and things like that for a number of reasons. But getting back to the gardening side of things, yeah, whether you're in a basement or in Florida, dealing with that humidity, it can be a pain, especially. I think the major thing that you changed was the drivers outside the room and not having it just be way too hot. Because if it was in the hundreds, you're going to be struggling. And if it's in the 70s, you're going to be a lot happier. And so are the plants.
Yeah, it was almost impossible in the summer to grow down here. As soon as the lights came on, I had to pretty much open my door, which then blew my whole VPD out of whack. And it's a learning curve. I just hit my 2-year mark into growing. So thanks to listening to shows like you guys, man, I've learned quite a bit and try to just keep progressing and getting better and better each grow.
I was gonna say it doesn't look like just 2 years. I'd say looks like maybe 5 or more, you're absolutely crushing it, and
Looks
you
great,
built
man.
out quite a setup. Somebody, APM, I think it is, but their name got changed to. They said that exposed insulation is making me itch. I spent too much time in the attic last week, and I will joke and say the forbidden cotton candy, that pink, itchy. If you ever stick your hand in there, there's fiberglass. Don't do it. Don't do it, people. Don't do it.
100%. That's hilarious. Yeah, the reason I still have it open is I've changed this room around 4 or 5 different times already. So I kind of wanted to have the availability until I really got it dialed in to have it open to move where my humidifier is, my intake fans, exhaust, things like that. I think I've pretty much got it set up the way I want it now. So next time you see it, it'll probably be all closed up and cleaned up even more.
Wait.
Oh, it looks
It
great,
is.
man. Nice work.
It is great, and it's nice to have that flexibility, especially if you haven't solidified it as like a permanent solution quite yet. And to be honest, it's a very narrow for anybody who's listening. It's just like maybe a half-foot wide strip where there's any exposed insulation or whatever like that. And if you're conscientious, you're not really gonna have much issue. Like he mentioned, I spent a lot of time in attics that were basically full of that, and even basements back in the day before they were finished. A lot of them just had exposed insulation before people did the drywall or sheetrock work or whatever it is. And yeah, it's kind of the way of the world. It's interesting to see the new stuff now. They've got like stuff from like wool to hemp to all different types of insulation options. So I actually hope to see more of that. I know that like people knock the hempcrete and the hemp whatever, but I really do hope that somebody actually becomes the titan of that industry and starts making like, a well-known product that you can get at a big box store, like hempcrete next to the instant concrete or whatever, something that you could like mix in a bag and throw down a
They're
sidewalk of
3D
hempcrete.
printing hemp houses now.
It's crazy, man. It's fire resistant. Like I've seen it, like they take torches to the stuff for building material, and it's pretty fire resistant. Interestingly enough, the way that they treat it and
It's all
process
about
it.
having
But
to build that tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars of infrastructure to be able to mass produce that type of stuff and then make sure that you have steady supply. And I think that the the grandiosity and the scale of what that would take, I think is they weren't prepared for when hemp went legal for sure.
I was just mentioning, like on Eagle Show last night, I saw this video about this guy. He's a woodworker. He was trying to figure out where the cheap wood was coming from that he got his like cheap house furniture, because he thought it was like it looked like teak or ash or birch or something like that, like a hardwood. But he figured out that it wasn't, and then he ended up finding out it was rubber wood, and the rubber wood for a while was a waste product where it was grown in the origin countries, and it would eventually mold, and it would like they used it for the rubber, but after the rubber, after so many years, stopped being produced well, or if the tree got moldy, it had to be paid to be removed. And eventually, they figured out they could grow it other places that it wasn't susceptible to that mold, and they figured out processing methods to dry it and basically make it so that it wouldn't mold. They would spray it with a bunch of pesticides and shit, dry it at certain heats and humidities, and it made it actually like a really high quality hardwood, but it's super cheap. It was like essentially a waste product, and now it's a $1 billion industry type thing. So I think that with hempcrete, it could just be a matter of time once we're still looking at like when they just reopened the government, they fucking had a huge anti-hemp legislation that they try to push. So with that said, I think we're not quite in the realm of cannabis and hemp being grown at the scale that, like you're saying, a business can't justify like, oh, I'm going to put $10 million into a processing machine and know that I'm going to have 100,000 pounds of hemp stalks coming in each month that I can turn into, 50,000 pounds of hempcrete or whatever it is that they make from it. So until we get more reliable regulations and open scales, I think we're not going to see as much ingenuity as we possibly could. But I've already seen like Sana packaging years ago. There's hemp plastic packaging for cannabis products because a lot of people were worried about the hemp or the plastic waste, rightfully. And it's more expensive and most people don't use it, but it is available. And so there are options out there. And I think it's only a matter of time, like anything, whether it's technology or this, which I consider almost like a biotech, or just even like some of the stuff that you do, Brandon, where it's just like a earth cleansing slash repairing businesses where you're taking like bioremediation type approaches. of getting these products that would become waste products and then turning them into something that's usable. Like the recycling oftentimes doesn't actually work well, but reducing our use is a benefit. Like we are talking about with LEDs versus HPS, you could use 600 versus 1,000 watts, and then reusing.
Not even that, I'm sitting at like half of that, so 320 watts for like the average time. It's like you would be surprised. My 4x4 veg tent has a little, I think, 230-watt light, and it doesn't even like span the whole length of the thing, and I have it probably like pretty high up. So like
To be fair, I would
it's
say a
light, but it's
4x4.
like such a small light.
A 4x4, I think, is what you'd cover with a 600-watt HPS, and I think a 5x5 would be covered by 1,000-watt, depending on
Dude,
who's setting up the grows.
It's great. I mean, I dig it, man. As a home grower, as somebody, look, like, I'm obviously not doing what I used to do and like, blowing up my house and relying on, packs, to pay the bills. But as a home grower, like the options that we have available to like set up a tent and put a little camera in there and do this and automate everything on an app, like this shit's fucking dope, dude.
I was gonna say, like, if you could reflect honestly, can't you almost say that this is just better because you're growing it for your own head? You're just growing it to be the best quality that it can be for the most
And that's the
flavors.
thing too. Yeah, there's no pressure on me to like have to perform or anything like that. That's why like the home grow is so enjoyable as opposed to as a business, like because you're like there's pressures to perform and hit certain numbers and
Yeah.
keep costs down and maintain
Timelines.
payroll and keep happy employees and
That's what moved me out of the direct field and into the picks and shovels, right? The lighting industry. I can be an alternate industry and then I just home grow for the fun of it, to do what I fucking want and not
I'm
have to
just
listen
tired.
to somebody who's never grown before try to tell me what to fucking do in the grow.
I'm so fed up because it's like, we've been waiting for our licenses and they're like, okay, well, the OBN hasn't approved the license. Okay, well, we paid them 8 weeks ago. Okay, we gave them 2,400 or $2,500, and now you're telling me that that it might be reviewed by February. And it's like, dude, we were supposed to open up in July. And it's like, so we need to figure like we need to start threatening with a lawsuit. If this is the case where they're like where we do everything that we need to and like we pass inspections and it's like it's been so much time that we're gonna have to renew the license, but they didn't like for our dispensary license, they didn't fully transfer it from who we bought it from. So now he's the one we have to pay him
Oh
to
my
renew it
God.
because they're taking their time. And it's like, okay, so now we have to renew a license because we didn't get it transferred in time because these people didn't fucking do their job over here, and it has nothing to do with us. It has
Yeah, it's the
everything,
government
and it's
side
like
just
us as
dragging their
business
feet.
owners have met all compliance, all deadlines, done every fucking jump through every single hoop. So now I'm like, you know what? Let's just sue them. I was like, it's so easy to sue people, and it's even easier to just threaten legal action. I mean, again, that's how I
The
got
best
my
thing, you don't
Kelly
even have
back.
to sue them. A lot of the time, you send a demand letter and you say,
Yep.
"Hey, I have complied by all of your requests. I gave you this on this date. I followed all of the requests down to a T. Every single thing that you asked for, I provided. On this date, this is when I provided this. On this date, this is when I provided this. You have not given me any feedback. You have not given me this. I am demanding that you either grant my licensing immediately upon review of my paperwork, or I'll move forward with legal action upon delay without notice because they haven't given you any reason behind it. So if you give them the chance, it's called a demand letter. You send it to your lawyer and have them make it on the official letterhead and everything. So it is a legal action or whatever. But a lot of the times they'll see that and think, oh, fuck, this guy's not fucking around. Let's actually just make it happen. And I found oftentimes in my personal business that's worked really, really well because people don't want to get into the legal side of things. So if I, instead of saying, hey, I'm suing you for this, I'll just say, like, here are my demands. And if you don't meet them within 48 hours, 72 hours, whatever it is, give them a timeline, then I will take all possible legal actions against you and list some of the, breach of contract or this or that, or, denial of services or whatever it is that they're technically breaking or breaching or doing. There's got to be something. They can't just take money and not ever get back to you or provide you the licensing that you're applying for. So there are ramifications, and it is good to have attorneys, as we talked about on prior shows, for a number of reasons. So I'm glad that you at least have the option, because a lot of people would be sort of shaking their fist and empty threatening. But when you actually have an attorney or a small team of them that can actually, put in a legal request, and if it's not granted within a reasonable timeline, you can actually follow through and sometimes win a settlement. Maybe
Shit,
get
I did
your
that shit
money
myself.
paid
I
back.
just did it with GPT. I was like, send it off to my attorney. He put it on letterhead, sent that shit. Bam, I'm back in business,
That's
which
the way
was
to do it. You
good.
saw it worked with Meta, who's a huge business. I mean, they'd rather
Good.
just give you your account back than to fight you in court. So it's a lot easier to just say, hey, you know what? We're going to review you unless you're doing like really evil stuff.
I
And
think it's
you're
been,
not.
well, I think it's been 1 week since I got my accounts back.
I bet you've already seen an uptick in business from having a 50,000 plus page to
80,
whatever.
I have it. I can look at my total amount of people on my analytics on my CRM, my HubSpot. And if I go to socials and I go to Instagram, I think it's like 89,000 because I have two profiles. I have my business profile and I have my personal profile. So I can go and look at and analyze everything.
And both of them were deleted.
They were both deleted. So it's 89,070 for Instagram. YouTube is 5,579. X is increasing. It's 176.
Since you got
Facebook.
your Meta profiles back, the Russ Brandon and the Bokashi Earthworks, have you noticed that you've started to see more traffic driving back to the full crop sciences and everything else, like the business side of things?
Yeah, plus I implemented a bunch of automations, and so if you go to like a good example, if you go to um my Instagram and you go into the DM section and hit the top right little three vertical lines, there's a menu that pops up with a bunch of resources, the Discord, YouTube channels, free guides, coupon codes, and so people are going there, and then like also I have automation, so like if you say certain words on any story post, like if you say LED, or if you say I think question, or if you say aloe, right? Different automations are built into that, and so it'll auto DM people links to different like podcasts, different like free guides, stuff like that. The Ask Brandon is like a thing that people can fill out a form, ask me questions, and I'll turn their questions into content.
Good stuff, man. Well, with that being said, I just looked over at the clock and we only got about 2 minutes left. So I'm going to pass it first to our final guest panelist who joined us for the second half of the show, Varkdog, for final thoughts and shoutouts.
Thanks for having me on, gentlemen. And I appreciate you putting on shows like this because I would probably have some sticks in my basement if it wasn't for people like you. So I appreciate you coming on and sharing knowledge every week for free for everybody. And happy growing.
See you later,
Absolutely.
dude.
That's what we're all about, overgrowing the planet. And it's awesome to see that you're a great example. And it warms my heart. And I know you're from my home state and even close to where I'm originally from. And to know that there are people growing dank where I'm originally from when it was not always that way. And the people that were much more kind of under attack and uh, things were a lot different. And so I'm happy to see the progress moving forward and always happy to see you and always happy to have you on the show and chat with you in the DMs, etc. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, Varkdog. Always a pleasure for sure. Next up, we've got Brandon Rust.
I'm about to smoke some blueberry train mac. But yes, check out that link for the Discord. The Discord's all cool and it's all built out all nice now. Looks all professional. Make sure you guys support Full Crop Science. We relaunched the website. So it's fullcropscience.com. Same great products. And we have so many more resources now set up and ways for you guys to access those resources. Discords, YouTube channels, Dropboxes, email newsletter subscriptions. Like it's all integrated. Get in with us, man. We've got a huge growing community. It's only getting bigger and bigger.
Good people, good products. What else can you want? Next up, we got Spartan Grown.
Thank you, Jack, and everyone on the panel. It's cool talking with everybody, especially people showing their growth. It's my favorite thing. And chat. And everybody came to see me at the MJ BizCon. I had some awesome conversations with some people, met some people that I've talked to for years. I love that shit. Um, But other than that, you know, the one thing that brings us all together is this plant. So never forget that's what we're here for. And we should encourage everyone who thinks the same way, right? We shouldn't be divided. We shouldn't get into these groups of us versus them. If we're all in there for the plant, then we're in it for the right reasons. Much love, everybody. Keep growing.
Absolutely. I feel like a cheerleader sometimes because I don't care how somebody's growing. I'm always going to encourage them, whether they're growing the dankest plants or the world's shittiest, unhealthiest, most strugglingest plant.
And I
And
want to help them more when I see that.
if they're open to it, I will for sure give them advice and feedback and answer any questions that they might have. Some people are maybe like myself at times, maybe a little bit harder headed and want to do it themselves and figure it out on their own, even though they could like be a Vark dog and fast track it by listening to podcasts and get advice from people who've got the experience. And then within 2 years, you're growing plants that look like you've been doing it for 20. And so, speaking of growing for 20, Noah the grower has got lots of years of experience under his belt, and it was a pleasure to have him tonight.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just thinking about that the other day. I think I'm on like year 14, who knows? But I've been involved in cannabis every single day my whole life. I've been blessed to do it. And I know a lot of people think my method is archaic and dinosaur. Believe me, I grow some pretty decent pot. But yeah, I'm Noah the Grow on Instagram. You can find me there and keep growing.
I'll never knock it because I know the second that I'm up in the Pacific Northwest, I'm going to be dying to try a little bit of that Noah the Grower dank.
Anytime.
And
There's nothing.
we'll definitely link up.
No, it's not anywhere near as archaic as using the sun, and everybody's doing that. So don't let people tell you that shit.
Oh, I don't care what people say.
Hey, and being archaic, there's a lot of fun in that. You know, fucking our natural history. We did it for thousands and thousands of years. It was satisfying. It got us through. We carried that plant on, and our ancestors were the shoulders of the giants that we're standing on now. So I'm thankful that they kept the plant alive and well for us to continue to be stewards of it, because there's going to be many generations after us that when far after we're gone, will still be growing and enjoying cannabis and might look back at these episodes and say, man, remember when? But hopefully not anytime soon. Hopefully we got many, many more happy years of growing and doing the show, which I look forward to every week. And y'all know where to find me at Jack Greenstock. There's only not pages, 3 copies of 50 Strains of Green. And I'm still working on getting the 50 Strains of Purple all printed up. But yeah, we'll do a pre-order for that hopefully by the end of the holiday season and get that shipped out. Hopefully by 420 next year. We'll see. We'll see. But with all that said, y'all know where to find me. Peace and love, everybody. Keep growing. Cheers.
Keep growing.